Greetings loves, it is I, Tactical Girlfriend. Welcome back to the channel. I hope everybody's doing well. Today I'm going to be talking about hearing protection. Now this is a subject that is often neglected by shooters because when we go to the range, so long as we have something over our ears, we feel protected, and that's about the extent of the thought that we give it. However, it's good to understand why we wear hearing protection, the amount of noise reduction that we can get from it, and the various options that we have available to us. There's a lot of really good ways to step up your ear pro game, and those can really change your shooting experience for the better. So without further ado, let's jump into it. Obviously, we all wear hearing protection at the range because big boom boom equals big loud loud, and big loud loud equals big pain pain for the ears. So make sure you keep them safe. You only get 2 of them, and once they're gone, they're gone. Just a couple of shots from a firearm can cause permanent hearing damage and loss. Unless, of course, you're shooting subsonic 22 out of a suppressor, in which case you probably don't need anything, which that's pretty cool. I also wish that the ATF would just leave us alone and let us have our suppressors in peace, but this is the world we live in. OSHA claims that any sound above 85 decibels can cause permanent hearing damage over time. Obviously, the louder the sound, the less time it will take to cause that damage. Also, anything above 120 decibels can cause immediate hearing damage. Now to put this into perspective, a Glock 17 puts out 162 decibels, and an unsuppressed AR-15 with a 16-inch barrel puts out 165. That is very well within the range of causing immediate hearing damage and loss. So again, always wear your hearing protection when shooting. Now, a lot of us are wearing the muff style ear pro at the range, and that's great. That's usually good enough, especially if you're outdoors, but if you're indoors and in general, it's still advised that you double up on hearing protection. You should wear some cans as well as some sort of ear insert plug. Now, you can try the foamy disposable ones. Those are perfectly fine, honestly. But if you want a slightly higher fidelity experience, which I think you should invest in, you should try something like these Etymotic earplugs. These things are attenuated to give you a much flatter frequency response, much clearer high end, and that way you can still hear things a little bit better. Hearing is really important, even while you're trying to not hear things as loud as you can. This is also why I strongly recommend active hearing protection. Once you go that route, you really can't go back. Just by investing a few more dollars into your ear pro, you can actually be able to hear things that are going on around you clearly. And when it comes to communicating with people around you, it's an invaluable tool. Now, basically the way it works is that there's a set of microphones on the outside of the ear pro that pipe audio into speakers inside, allowing you to hear things clearly. If there's a certain loud sound, such as a gunshot, that hits a certain threshold of loudness, the audio does get cut and then it returns once that loudness is no longer there. Strongly recommend that. Can't say it enough. Get some active hearing protection. Now let me talk about a few examples of hearing protection that I've used and my thoughts on them. The first are, of course, the Howard Leight Impact Sports. These are ubiquitous to pretty much every range that you go to. Everyone wears these, and for a good reason. They run about $50 to $60. They take 2 AAA batteries that run for about 350 hours. Now these have microphones on either side of the cans, giving you a full stereo field to hear. You also have your rotary knob here that is used to power on and off, as well as adjust volume. And you have a 3.5mm jack on the back. That basically allows you to play your favorite tunes at the range, which is really cool. Also, you can create a somewhat budget-oriented comm setup, in which I do have a video about that you absolutely should check out. Now, these are pretty amazing for what they are, but you do get what you pay for. I do feel like the audio quality is probably the weakest point of this. The upper mids have a very strong spike in them, and the audio overall is compressed to hell. Also, the gate recovery time is very slow. Basically, when you fire a shot, it takes quite a while for the amplified audio to actually return to its normal levels, and a lot longer than it really should. Now, this is me nitpicking. Obviously, I can't be too choosy about this because you are only spending $50 to $60 on this, but those are points that I do think are worth noting. I also want to add that I've added some noise fighter gel cups to these that replace the factory foam cups, And these in and of themselves is a huge game changer. These are so much more comfortable, and they also have a nice cutout on top for your iPro. They also help you get a better seal, and that helps reduce the noise levels. Also, in general, these, even out of the factory, are very, very comfy. They've held up for many, many years of my use, and they've been in the rain consistently, and I've never really had any issues with these. These are probably the best bang for your buck, and I do strongly recommend them. Now, if you're a radio nerd, you might want to consider something like a communications headset. In addition to protecting your ears, as well as allowing you to hear environmental audio, it also allows you to hear your radio audio and also transmit audio through a push-to-talk into your radio. Now, the problem with these is that they are generally not very accessible. You jump all the way up from something like a Howard Leight to a communications headset, you're looking at something like $500 and more. Now, that's understandably not very accessible for a lot of folks, and there's not a lot of budget options out there, but one I do want to highlight is the Earmore M32. These run for about $100. These are advertised to offer 22 dBs in noise reduction. I do feel like it's a little bit less in my experience, but that also might be subjective to how the cups fit on my ears. That's just my experience though, and I do feel like that's worth mentioning. They also run on 2 AAA batteries, one on each of these end caps here, and they offer about 350 hours of runtime. Just like the Howard Leights, you have microphones on either can for your full stereo experience. You also have this boom microphone, which is flexible to shape to your face as need be, and it also hangs on to the frame with this arm here. You also have a standard NATO U174 plug for your PTT, and you have 3 buttons here, one to power it on, one to increase volume, and one to decrease volume. Now, the headband has this kind of weird polygonal shape to it. It's not the most comfortable I've ever worn. I'd say it's actually probably one of the worst things about this. However, there are helmet adapters for it at least. It's also rated at IPX5, which basically means you can take it out in the rain. It'll be fine, just don't dunk it in a bucket of water. In terms of audio quality, sound replication is definitely a bit better than the Howard Leights, but it's not the most amazing thing I've ever heard. Also, the build quality is a little bit questionable. The plastics on this just don't look that great, to be honest, and I certainly wouldn't be trusting my life with it. But if you just want something fun for the range or to LARP, then by all means, this might be perfect for your airsoft game. Moving right along, attached to my helmet here, I have a pair of Peltor Comtact Vs. These are not cheap. I was lucky. I spent about $600 on these. I'm seeing them go for like $700 to $800 now, which is absolutely bonkers. But I do stand by the fact that I do think you do get what you pay for. These are professional, military-grade ear protection, and they're also a communications headset. These offer 23 dBs of noise reduction, but honestly, it feels like it could be a little bit more. As far as active ear pro goes, these are by far the quietest I've ever worn. They also use 2 AA batteries, one on each side, in these easy-to-change compartments. They have a runtime of only 150 hours, and that's pretty much my only gripe so far. You have an omnidirectional microphone on the front end of either can. You, of course, have your boom microphone here, which is, again, very flexible and easy to contour to your face. You have a very deceptively simple button system here. There's only 2 buttons for powering on and off and increasing and decreasing volume, but certain key presses for certain amounts of time allow you to access the menu in which you can change a plethora of audio settings. There's also a voice that narrates what you're doing, which is super user-friendly. It also utilizes the same NATO U174 plug for your PTT. Now, in the used market, you're probably going to see a lot of Peltor Comtact Vs, and for what they are, they're really, really good. They're an older generation. The Comtact 5s and 6s are out now, though, and these are definitely a very big leap forward. The audio quality and sound replication is second to none. Audio output is also improved. The features, the functionality, everything about these is just so much better. Also, to take the Comtact 3s off of the headband, you literally have to rip the headband apart, whereas with this thing, you can actually just easily take these off, swap them out as much as you need to, no problem. In terms of audio quality, sound replication is downright scary. It is so damn good that I oftentimes forget that I'm wearing these. That said, they're also very, very comfortable, and I opted to put the HY80 gel cups in them. And I love wearing these, honestly. I'm afraid they're almost becoming like a security blanket, and I know that's weird, but they're absolutely a pleasure to wear. They're also bomb-proof. The construction quality is second to none. This will probably outlive me. And yeah, I think these are honestly the most amazing ear pro that I've ever worn. I don't know if they're worth it to you. I would say work within your budget. If you got the money to spend comfortably, these are worth considering. If not, you should definitely consider some more budget-oriented options, but I really, really can't not recommend these. They're absolutely incredible. Now, one item on this list that I did not go into is the Sword & Supreme series. I personally have not purchased one of these. I wish I could give you a review on this, but I, in good faith, could not actually spend money on these based on the information that I gathered. If somebody does have more information on it, I would love to hear more about it, but let me at least give you my impressions from my research. First of all, they only offer 17 to 19 dBs in noise reduction, which I think is just not acceptable for a headset. Also, I want a communications headset, but if you get the Supreme Pro X, which is pretty common, you got to get this weird adapter kit and a boom mic for it. It's just not ready to go out of the box, and that really irks me. You can get the mil-cc version, but for some reason it seems like they're only sold in European countries, and they're really rare. I don't know why. Also, the batteries on it are a huge pain to change. It's just a really, really poor design all around. Also, a lot of reviews state that they're just really not durable at all. People go through 2 or 3 of these in a span of a few years, and that just scares me. Now, I'm only relaying my findings to you. Again, I have no experience with this headset whatsoever, but what I do understand from it is enough to scare me away from even spending any money on it to try to review for you. But if you got any information on the contrary, I would love to hear more about it in the comments below. Also, alternatively, there are some honorable mentions that do seem to come very highly recommended, such as the Safariland Liberator series, as well as the OpsCore amp. Those are also both very Gucci, but if you are moneybags, you might want to look into those. Well, that's all the skull hugger info that I have to drop on you today. If you found this video remotely informative, useful, cute, or quaint, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell too. Also, be sure to chime in the comments below and let me know what you're running. I'd love to hear more about it. I also want to give a huge shout out to everyone who's supporting this channel on Patreon. I couldn't do this without you. You keep the lights on, and I'm ever grateful for that. If you want to go help chip in, you can always go to patreon.com/tacticalgf. The biggest contributors are named at the end of the video. And that's a wrap. I really appreciate you all tuning in. Please be good to each other out there, and as always, please take care. Bye!